Hi, I'm Tom,
I'm Mary.
and we've been involved in the Miley for near enough 25 years, and 25 happy years. We've thoroughly enjoyed it, and we hope to continue for another wee while yet.
We were actually given an award just a couple of years ago for our help with the Miley for such a long time.
The Miley was a tip, basically. As you may be aware, it was part of the old Dundee to Newtown railway line, and it fell into disrepair, and it was just an absolute mess.
So I was brought up in Lochee, and I remember my first foray along was on the path that was above the lines. It was on the top of the brae, and that was our route to go to this ice skating rink at Kingsway.
Some of our members, maybe 25-ish years ago, they led by John Wyman, they got involved with cleaning up the Miley.
I first came here in 1992, but before that there'd already been work by the local group to identify a local site which they could adopt as a reserve. There's quite a few other reserves in Angus and Perthshire, a lot of reserves down in Edinburgh, but very few that the Dundee members could focus on and adopt as their own. So this piece of land, the Miley, was very well known locally as being a sort of great place for nature, and the SWT and the local council carried out surveys here, and this developed the idea that this could be the Scottish Wildlife Trust's focus in Dundee. So the Miley did require a lot of work in the early years. We had about 3 or 4 years of clearing rubbish, talking to the neighbours, getting them to clean up rubbish which they'd deposited in the Miley, and laying the infrastructure.
It was a horrible dump and before it was opened up. Yeah,
there was a lot of dumping went on before it was developed as a path through.
Where we're standing now is actually one of my favourite bits of the Miley at that point. It was fairly open, there was quite a lot of wildflowers, you could still see the ballast that was underneath the rails, and there was some old sleepers that were still lying in the ballast. So it really did feel like an old railway line, and it was almost as if the railway had just been lifted up and the site had been left after that. We developed a plan, so we divided it up into 3 sections. Imaginatively titled Phase 1, Phase 2 and Phase 3, and this was the first section. It needed a little bit less work, and we could open it up from Loons Road up to the Harefield Road Bridge. So the first funding applications were for the infrastructure we needed here, so which was a set of steps and the drainage to be cleared and the path to be built.
It was terrible. You were actually picking litter off litter, and it was weeks before we actually saw the path. This was actually the first urban wildlife site, real wildlife site in Scotland. There's loads now. There's lots of people who have taken over various old railway lines and turned them into wildlife places. But this one is particularly wild because we don't titivate it and make it tidy. It's never tidy. And that has to be that way, because that's the way the wildlife thrive best.
Many studies have shown that just regular contact with green spaces has a tremendous impact on your physical and mental well-being. The Miley is approximately 1 mile long, and it's regularly used by commuters, cycling, dog walkers, kids fresh out of school, or just residents that are just walking their dogs or just out for a wee donder.
People think because it's in an urban area that it's just going to be another path in another urban area. And they come in and it's so quiet, they can't believe it. And this is their start. There's so many people love coming here. Well, the best thing that I think we did was engage with the nursery, and we used to take nursery children on a wildlife walk. Me and one of the other volunteers regularly took them on the wildlife walk, and we did that for a lot of years. And then the nursery closed, and so that stopped, and I kind of miss that.
It's just a nice woodland walk, and it's obviously very convenient for Dundee people to commute from one street to another.
And for the kids to take a shortcut down on the bikes.
So Scottish Wildlife Trust's role is maintaining access for the public. So on an annual basis we carry out site checks to make sure that all of the existing infrastructure is kept in suitable condition. The paths, the steps, the stairs, the interpretation boards, but also because we have got quite a lot of mature trees that grow along the Miley, we do need to factor in the safety as well, and we carry out tree safety inspections on an annual basis as well. And if there's any trees that look like they could stand for another few years, we will then monitor it without removing it, because standing trees, even if they're dead, are of vital importance to wildlife conservation.
It gives you an insight into what's going on in the wild right in the middle of the town.
The Miley has a lovely selection of flora and fauna. You can see a wide variety of birds that commonly visit the Miley in the summer. These can consist of bullfinch, great tits, long-tailed tits, and occasionally we've seen some tawny owls and some peregrine falcons. Including the birds, there's a lovely selection of flora, so you can see a nice selection of native red campion, dog mercury, and on top of the ground flora you can see a nice selection of native trees such as hazel, bird cherry, and even surprisingly field maple.
At this time of year, there's full foliage in the trees. You never see them, but you hear them. And it's thrilling to hear a wren giving you a telling off or getting too near its nest.
Well, the Miley is part of a network of green corridors that stretch right across the city of Dundee and the outskirts, and the importance of green corridors allow wildlife to travel throughout an urban environment without actually getting disrupted by traffic or housing areas, industrial areas. It's essentially a tunnel for them to manoeuvre throughout a busy environment.
The natural world is under tremendous pressure. There is very little actual green spaces. Okay, you've got trees and what have you, but you've very little wild, uncivilized areas where wildlife can thrive. The Miley is a golden haven for wildlife. It's also a golden haven for people. The Miley it's one of these places where you've got kids when the schools are on. The kids use the tunnel at my back here. That's where they have their lunch, and they have their cans there and their plastic containers for their food. And most of them, in all honesty, most of them do use the bins. But like everything else, there's a bunch of them who refuse point blank to use the bins. Dog litter as well A few years back, it was a major problem. But that problem is easing now. You can't, you still get the occasional dog poo, but it's vastly reduced.
I just hate litter. It's just horrible. Why people drop litter, I just will never know.
We are, unfortunately, we're not all in the first flush of youth, and it's not very. It's hard if you're taking a bag of rubbish to the end of the Miley for the council to pick up. We've often asked them for a bin, you know, a Euro bin, and we've had no response to that. What we did have was a grey bin that lasted about a fortnight, then it disappeared. I think some of the locals have commandeered it. And so, it's slowly but surely, people are beginning to own the Miley. And this is what we want. We want the local people to own the Miley because it's theirs, so hopefully they'll look after it. And they are, for a large extent.
Yeah, we have a lot of litter pickers who are not on our litter picking list. They just come when they want to do it and they do it. We've met a few of them over the years and they've been really helpful, but they won't join. They won't join the rota. But we do have a flourishing rota of litter pickers, and somebody comes up once a week and picks up the litter that's all near the path.
There's very little litter on the Miley today. We've just walked to the far end and back. Very little litter, and I think that is because it's being kept cleared. It's being cleared up every week, and so people think twice before they throw things down. So it has a general effect as well.
When you come on a leaf pick, just chatting amongst yourselves as you work away, it's really quite uplifting.
So the Miley is now leased from Dundee City Council to the Scottish Wildlife Trust. It's a 25-year lease, and so it's the Scottish Wildlife Trust's responsibility to look after it during that time. It's well known by local people. It is maintained very well. It is kept very clean, and it's a lovely place to visit. So the Miley is now a protected site on Dundee's local development plan. And it's also a core path that runs down it, so it's very well catered for as being protected. And there's apart from threats from invasive species or the usual wildlife concerns of any wildlife site, then there's no reason why it can't be here forever.
Have to acknowledge that a lot of the work that's done here is voluntary based. We wouldn't be able to maintain the Miley if we didn't have the great involvement from volunteers. The volunteers visit the Miley far often than I do, and I have to acknowledge that as take my hat off to them for the tremendous work that they do.
The Miley is what you see now. It's not down to me or Mary. It's down to the dozens of people who volunteer officially with the Scottish Wildlife Trust. It's also thanks to the locals who use the Miley and cherish the Miley. The council, they're reasonably supportive of the Miley, but as I say, it's just the local people and the volunteers who we owe a really big vote of thanks, because these people are absolutely wonderful. That's my piece.
If it hadn't been for these volunteers, you wouldn't be able to walk on a path. It would just be rubbish. And it took a long time and a lot of hard work, and we're still working, and we're still getting help from so many people. I would say that everybody who has volunteered, even if it was only for once, deserves a gold star.
And in autumn time, it's a great time if you want to pick brambles. Bramble jelly from the Miley is much recommended.
Hi, I'm Alex. I'm one of the Scottish Wildlife Trust volunteers, and I hope that you enjoyed watching this video and maybe even found it a little bit inspiring. Unfortunately, as you've seen, our volunteers aren't in their first flush of youth, and they're not getting any younger. We couldn't continue doing this work without new, enthusiastic and energetic people joining our team. So if you're willing to help, please give us a message on our Facebook page or send us an email. You'll find both in the description of the video. Hope to hear from you soon. Until next time.